previous session we have talked about, that is the how we have the having the different virtual teams, and in virtual teams what should be the leadership is there. Now today we will talk about the managing the multicultural teams, and in the multicultural teams we will talk advantages of multicultural teams, challenges of multicultural teams, 4 strategies to overcome challenges with the help of the HBR study, and multicultural managers and organizations, multicultural organization development model, and as usual the case study, research papers and the book recommendations with the references. Now, whenever we talk about the multicultural team, the central operating mode for a global enterprise, right. So, it is the creation, organization, management of the multicultural teams, that is a group that represents diversity. Diversity in functional capability is there, right, and experience level and the cultural backgrounds are there. So, therefore, in that case it will be always depending upon, that is the they are not coming from the same culture, while they are coming from the different culture. The team members are coming from the different cultures are there, and therefore their capability is different, their experiences are different, they are coming from a different zone also, maybe from the Asia, USA, right, or the Europe, UK. So, therefore, in that case they will be having their experience will be also from the different zones, part of the globes, and as a result of which there will be the different cultural backgrounds will be there, right. Now, these multicultural groups represent 3 or more ethnic backgrounds are there, that is a diversity may increase uncertainty, complexity and inherent confusion in group processes, right. So, therefore, it is always because the culture is different, right. So, naturally there will be the uncertainty, and the communication, the food habits, that will be also different. So, there will be the complexity will be there, and naturally there will be the as a human being that is getting the mixing with the another culture, right. So, that confusion will be always there in the group processes. So, culturally diverse groups may generate more and better ideas, and limit group think is there. But then why we are having these multicultural teams? So, therefore, on the one side we are having this the uncertainty and complexity in the multicultural team, while the other side we will having this whenever the teams are there, they are having the better ideas, because as we have seen they are coming from the different geographical zone, different cultures. So, as a result of which there will be the of course the ideas will be also different, and then those different ideas that will give the strength, right, strength to the team. So, different culture backgrounds and the perspectives can inspire innovation and productivity. So, as I mentioned, it is there will be different ideas. So, naturally there will be the innovation and productivity will be also there will be the different perspective. So, how to make the manufacturing process in a better way, how to make the use of the machines, how to handle the people and the men behind the machine. So, therefore, employees. So, therefore, in that case it will be always this type of these ideas will come, and the innovations and productivity will be increasing is there. So, every individual of the team that is differ from the experiences and mindsets, right. So, enrich the variety of services and products. Thinking quickly. Knowing the rules is a perfect way to become the more agile inside groups, especially in multicultural teams, where as soon as the members will start feeling comfortable, the better they will become more productive. So, now here it is the responsibility of the leader to make them the more comfortable as soon as possible. So, whenever it is the cross cultural team, multicultural team, or it is from the homogeneous cultural team is there, what is the responsibility of the leader to make them the more comfortable, and as soon as he will make the comfortable to the team members, the team will be performing very effectively. Improve of creativity is there, and individualistically exposed to the people from, let us say, Asia, right. So, therefore, in that case definitely they will be having the quickly they will be having this the exposure to the new culture, and there will be the different enhancement of this creativity and ideas, as I mentioned earlier, it will be there. The improve of the problem solving skills will be there. So, international group bring their own life and experiences inside the team. So, when a solution is needed, they can come up with ideas that would have never crossed the mind of a group with a single culture mindset, and that is the beauty, right. So, there though we say that is the two brains are better than one, but if the two brains are they are from the different culture, so then they will be better than two, right. So, therefore, in that case it will be the cultural mindset will be there. Moreover, teammates are exposed to different point of view, and they can easily know to think outside the box is there, and that way these problem solving skills that will be increasing, and their communication skill will also improve, and they improve in the sense in the cross cultural multicultural teams communication will improve, and so as a result of which their soft skills will be also increasing. Personal growth and flexibility is being a part of an international team is like attending an exchange program. So, every working day, right. So, therefore, in that case it is also an exposure to the different the culture, different nations, the whatever is their strength is there, those strengths are getting the exposure is there. Indeed, while working in a multicultural team, the members are exposed to new culture, and this can easily have an impact on their personalities and their mindset is concerned. So, whenever you are working with the people from the different nation, right. So, therefore, your behavior and your mindset, that will also will change, right, and you will get exposed to the different ideas. But the challenges is this, there is a communication problems, trouble with the fluency and accent. When non-native speakers struggle to find the right words, the team might not take their point of view seriously. So, even when they probably should, members who are not fluent in the team's dominant language may have difficulty communicating their knowledge, right. So, therefore, in that case it is the definitely they have these the way they communicate, right. So, they may not be fluent, right. So, many times they will not be having that understanding which is required amongst the team members. So, there will be the difficulty in communicating also. This can also prevent the team using their expertise, right, because they are not able to communicate. So, they may remain silent, and if they remain silent, then in that case they will not be able to express their expertise, and as a result of which what will happen, that is that will create a frustration or perceptions of incompetence. So, direct and indirect communication is there. So, Western cultures tend to speak directly, while in many other cultures it is considered more polite to be indirect. So, when members see such mismatch as violations of communication norms of their cultures, right. So, therefore, it is the it is considered, right. So, Western cultures in many other culture is considered the more polite to speak directly, while in many culture it is considered more polite to be indirect, right. So, therefore, this type of the direct communication, the way of communicating directly, right, like Western cultures, and in other culture it is to be spoken to be indirectly. So, this will also create a communication problem among the team members is there, right, and therefore, in the beginning there might be the uncomfortable situation amongst the team members. The work culture differs across the globe, and with it also the attitudes towards the authority is there. So, indeed some cultures are okay with flat organizational structures, while others are used to a formal hierarchy. So, behavior that is perceived as respectful in one culture may not be seen that way in the other. This is a very big problem. So, therefore, when it is perceived that is the inward behavior, the particular behavior in the one culture which is supposed to be the respectful, in other culture it may not be that perception, and as a result of which team members from hierarchical cultures expect to be treated differently according to their status in the corporation, right. So, this is a very simple example, like the calling by the first name, right. So, team members from hierarchical cultures that they want to be called by the sir, right, but in the other culture it might be by the first name, right. So, the person may not be comfortable. Another issue related to the work culture is being less likely to speak up, and this could be challenging for individuals from polite or differential cultures like for Asian people. So, therefore, in that case it is that is the polite or differential cultures in the Asia, right, that this may just feel less comfortable to make their voices to be heard or to be shared their ideas, because of they are polite in nature, and therefore they may not be having that particular expressions of the in the meetings, and therefore in that case it might be possible that is their voice their ideas, if they are new in the team or in the junior role, then it may be less comfortable for them, right. So, on the other hand, members from the western or the Scandinavian countries, right, those who are speaking directly, and therefore in that case that will be becoming the very important for them to communicate directly. So, free flow of communication may be there. So, decision making conflicts also there. So, so one side there is this the communication challenges, other side is the decision making conflicts. Working in a multicultural team means also facing differences in how decisions are made, in how much analysis is required by teammates beforehand is there. So, conflicts arise when some of them make decisions quickly versus slowly, right. So, or analytically versus instinctively. So, therefore, in that case that is the decisions which are based on the rational, logical, analytical, right, and somebody is taking the decisions on the basis of their intuitions. So, therefore, and immediately then definitely in that case this may be creating the frustration among the others. So, negative culture stereotypes and the prejudices may be there. The interactions of people from different country unavoidably arise unconscious culture biasness and stereotypes are there. Those can be quite difficult to overcome, particularly if they make part of the team less inclined to work together. Negative culture stereotypes can be seriously disruptive to company morale and can also affect the productivity is there, and therefore in that case it is the whenever there is this type of the negative culture is there, so then there will be disruption. So, this disruptive behavior to the company that will also affect the productivity, right, and the culture in the team also, and culture in the organization also. So, that will be having the prejudices and biases, and the negative impact will be there. So, here company has to take care of the strategies for addressing the challenges. So, what are those strategies? 4 main strategies for addressing the challenges are is adaptation, which acknowledge the culture gaps and finds ways to work around them. So, as I mentioned in the beginning that because they are coming from the different cultures, so naturally there will be the different communication styles will be there, their different habits will be there, their different the issues will be there. So, then in that case naturally we have to accept that yes, there will be the whenever there is a diversity there will be challenges, right. So, we have to adopt that. That is yes, this is a situation, because unless and until we will not accept that, how it will work. So, this works well, but requires creativity, self awareness and time is there, right. So, once you adopt it, then definitely you require certain that creativity and self awareness of and certain time is required. The cultural interventions is required to reduce friction or to compel team members to get to know each other better. Then there is a managerial intervention. Managers can set rules and step in when there is a need for someone with authority is there. So, managerial intervention will be there. As a last resort that Harvard study suggests is the exit option. So, completely removing someone from the team, this is costly in the most extreme way to salvage a situation is there. So, but this particular fourth strategy that is not the suggested one unless and until it is must. Right. So, adaptation, cultural interventions, managerial interventions and the exit option, and these 4 strategies when we are adopting. So, then managers will be able to make the lead the team, and therefore, there can be the effectiveness of the team and work will be there. Now the core problems are ethnocentrism in the face of right, and then the cultural diversity experienced as cultural shock. So, which varies with experience and maybe lesser or greater in impact, right, and normally it is the greater impact. Core solutions are these adaptation, adjustment and development of intercultural skills, right. So, whenever there is a cultural shock is there, that is the first reaction to the cultural shock will be there, that is, oh, so much cultural difference is there, and that, but what is required? The adjustment. As a more permanent and positive reaction is, that is the whenever such type of teams are there, the rest of the team members, they should make the adjustments, and development of intercultural skills are there. Many times it is also seen when there is a productive team. So, productive team, what it does, that is they learn the culture of each other, they learn the communication skills of each other, they learn the way that they are direct or indirect way to express the opinion, ideas in the team, that is also they are learning. So, therefore, the cross cultural managers many times they come out with the more ideas, more productivity, more effectiveness, and as a result of which what is leader is required? Leader is required to develop that intercultural skills. If he is able to develop that intercultural skills and already there is an adjustment is there, right. So, this cultural shock will be less, and that is why many companies they are starting with the orientation programs, and in the orientation programs they work on that particular this schedule, that is the people they enjoy. They enjoy that diversity, and then as our Indian culture is there, that is the unity in diversity. So, the team is developing that unity in diversity on the basis of these intercultural interactions, and therefore, the cultural shock will be less. There might be, but the time period for this cultural shock will be less, and the team will be very soon working into the direction of the goals. The multicultural managers and the organizations are there. The multicultural manager has the skills and attitude to relate effectively to the motivate people. Now this is the skill is required, right. So, first once the person is having that particular understanding, that is the yes, there will be the different cultural people. So, then he should be skillful, and his attitude is to motivate the people across the race, gender, age, social attitude and lifestyles. For example, even this gender is there, right. So, therefore, in that case, in that the leader, effective leader, that he will be able to work on the different diversity. He respects and values the cultural differences, manager, and has the ability bilingual to conduct business in a diverse international environment. Has a cultural sensitivity in being aware and interested in why people of other culture acts they do. It is not parochial in assuming that the ways of one's culture are the only ways things should be done, and as a result of which not ethnocentric in assuming that the superiority of one's culture over that of another culture. So, therefore, in that case there is no such complexity is there, no complex to that particular person, that is the manager will think that is my culture is better than others culture. It is not like this. Everybody's culture has been respected, right. Similarly, the cultures over that of another culture, there is nothing like a superiority is there, right, and therefore, in that case everybody is equal. And when everybody's culture is equal, everybody's culture is honored, then definitely you can assume that what will be the environment. The multicultural organization development is a process of change, right, that supports an organization moving from a monoculture or exclusive organization to a multicultural is there, right. So, therefore, this multicultural organization development, right. So, in many organizations nowadays it is common that we find it is the employees are coming from the different countries, different culture. So, therefore, from a monoculture it is going to be the organization to a multiculture. So, what is required? The inclusivity is required, and the understanding of the diverse and equitable that is has to be understood. That is, there will be the diverse culture, right, but we have to create the equitability in the organization. And the approach requires an initial assessment of where the organization is committed to a vision it wants to be in the future. So, there will be the exclusionary organization, the club, the compliance organization, the affirming organizations, the redefining organization stage, and the multicultural inclusive organizations will be there. So, whenever we want to develop a multicultural organization development, we have to implement these all 6 stages, right. And whenever you right from these your exclusively organization to the inclusive the organization, right. So, therefore, right from the cultural shock, right from that cultural shock to the becoming the effective team. So, unless and until you do not treat the team members respectfully, if you do not make them the comfortable, you do not make them then to understand to each other, then that team cannot be developed. So, multicultural organization development model, Jackson Hardiman is given this the multicultural organization development continuum, a monoculture, non-discrimination and the multiculture. This transformation will be there from the monoculture to the multiculture. So, therefore, in the blatant exclusion or the token presence of managerialized group members is there. So, therefore, in that case it will start with the exclusionary. So, and with in this particular stage what you have to do in that is the club. So, you have to club them, you have to making them to work together, and the marginalized group members encouraged but expected to fit in status quo culture, compliance and affirming. So, therefore, those employees are there, team members are there. So, then those who are the marginalized group members, right, and the cultural climate and system experience fundamental sustainable change is there. So, that is the redefining the multicultural and inclusive is there. So, always we talk about that is the whenever we are talking about the change. So, that is from the unfreezing and to taking to the refreezing. So, it becomes very important that is the you also take the care of that change process, and here I would like to mention that is this compliance and affirming. The leader's effectiveness will depend on this, because the most of the members you see that is some of them will be the totally into the monoculture, some of them those who are ready for the very much ready for the multicultural, but some of them they will be in the margin, right. So, these marginalized groups with the compliance and affirming these steps are to be taken by the leader. Leader has to understand, he has to bring the team at a particular competitive level, and to bring the team at the particular competitive level, it becomes very important that is the you are having the compliances is there, because the club is already there, the group has formed. But when you are taking into the multicultural inclusive level, then in that case you have to take care of those employees, those who are having at the marginal level. So, multicultural organization development model based on earlier work by the Jackson and Holbeer provides a useful way, and there is a frame and initial assessment of where it is on the path to multiculturalism. So, you are leading that particular group towards the multiculturalism is there, and then you decide on a vision of multiculturalism it wants. So, what the multicultural that is the goal which it wants to achieve, and they select the appropriate goals and interventions. So, here I would also like to take the help of the OD, organization development is there. So, structural interventions, team interventions. So, these interventions, appropriate interventions are to be used to support to desired vision, right, and the exclusively organizations that is the it will not work. So, they openly maintains the privileged groups power and privilege and deliberately restricts membership. So, that is the exclusionary is there. So, so that is why many times those who are having these exclusionary organization system, so they restrict the membership, they do not allow to even recruit the member employees from the different culture. Intentionally designed to maintain dominance of one group over others, right, and therefore, in that case there will be the groupism, and the one group will not allow the other group to enter. So, over discriminatory, exclusionary and harassing actions go unaddressed, right. So, therefore, in that case the practices in the team that will be very negative, and unsafe and dangerous environment for marginalized group members will be there, because those who are coming from that from the different culture, right, and there may be chances, that is, they may feel the unsafe and dangerous. So, what is required? So, therefore, the club, our way to the highway, right. So, it is not the my way is highway, right, it is from no way to the our way or the highway is there. So, here it maintains the privilege of those who have traditionally held power and influence, and monocultural norms, policies and procedures of the dominant culture viewed as the only right way, business as usual, right. So, therefore, in that case it is not the question your way or my way, it is the right way. So, dominant culture institutionalized in policies, procedures, services, etc., right. So, here it is very much important. That is the we have to be very careful in understanding and framing policies, procedures and services. Limited number of token members from other social identity groups allowed in if they have the right credentials, attitude and behavior, and therefore, those who are able to mix up, right. So, they have been allowed. So, engages the issue of diversity and social justice only on club members' terms and within their comfort zone is there, right. So, here you see those who can be the comfortable. Here it is very important point has been mentioned, that is about the diversity and social justice is there, right. So, this will be only possible when there are the club members are there, and in the club members are there, so then you can create the comfort zone. So, here it is that is the a collective actions will be taken, and on the basis of these collective actions the decisions will be taken for the in this particular our way or the highway is concerned. So, in the stage 2 what from the we are moving up, we are moving from the no way, that is from the exclusion to the our way is there. So, here the now what is the leadership role of leadership here is, the role of leadership is the right credentials, to identify the right credentials, that who will be the right person to be incorporated into team. The third is the compliance organization, the letter of the law, the committed to removing some of the discrimination inherent in the club organization, right. So, therefore, in that case this is to be taken care of. So, this removal of the discrimination inherent in the club organization, right, that will be that should be there, and they provide some access to some members of previously excluded groups, right. So, it is those who have been excluded earlier, they should be given certain access also. So, therefore, no change in organization culture, mission or structure is there. So, ultimately it is the organization culture that has to be there, right, and that should not be changed, and do not make waves or often the challenges dominant group members are there. So, therefore, in that case what is should be our focus. So, our focus is to be, that is the whenever we are talking about this challenge is there or offend is there, right. So, then there should not be this offend and challenge by the dominant group members should not be there, they should not do that. Efforts to change profile of workforce at bottom of organization. So, therefore, for every team members, for every culture, there are certain essentials, and the essentials are that has to be made. So, efforts are to be made to change the profile if somebody is not having. Token placements in top positions must be team players and qualified, must assimilate into organization culture, must not challenge the system or rock the boat, must not raise issues of racism, classism, albinism, then the heterosexism, religious operations and the ageism. So, therefore, whatever the reasons are there which are making the suppress the group or team, that those all issues that they should not be allowed to raise. The affirming organizations is there, that is we welcome the diverse candidates, right. So, now from the exclusive to marginalize, confirming, now we are going to be the affirming. So, committed to eliminating discriminatory practices and inherent advantages are there. So, actively recruits and promotes the members of the groups that have been historically denied access and opportunity, and therefore, in that case that the group has been those who were earlier not selected, now the team will provide the support and career development opportunities to increase success and mobility is there, and that is the responsibility of the leader. The employees encouraged to be the non-oppressive or awareness training is there, right. So, therefore, in that case employees must assimilate to organizational culture, and whenever they are assimilated to organizational culture, then definitely in that case they will be able to work together in the diversity also. So, here it is the employees should be always given the they should be selected also. So, therefore, in that case as far as the selection procedure of the organization is concerned, so these employees such type of employees should be applicants should be allowed to get selected into the organization, and whenever they are ready to work in the organization, then at that time these type of these training programs that can be organized, so that therefore, if there is a very high gap, right, or there is a diversity, then here they will be able to perform in a collectively with the help of the training, and whenever these training programs will be provided, they will be able to perform. So, redefining organization is our success and daily practices are there in transition and working to create environment that values and capitalize on the diversity, right. So, that is working to ensure full inclusion of multicultural workforce to enhance the growth and the success of organization. So, it is the beginner to question limitations of organization culture, and therefore, it is a mission, policies, structure, operations, services, management practices, and climate is there. So, this is very important point for the leader is concerned, that is the leader should go for this type of these redefining organization practices and implement the policies and practices to redistribute the power, and empowerment of all members is there. And finally, the inclusive organization is there. In the inclusive organizations, it can be the diversity of work knowledge and the perspectives has to be there, so that they will be here, that is the fabric of the business of the organization, such that is all are working together are there, and members of the all groups are treated fairly, they feel included and have equal opportunities and represented at all organizational levels and functions are there. So, these are the on the basis of the above discussions, these are the monocultural, transitional and multicultural parameters are there, and accordingly we can develop the policies can be developed. On basis of this we will be able to create that environment, that is the global environment, socially responsible environment on that will be developed, products and services and technology will be developed, and ultimately we will be having the inclusive organization. These are the case studies, this case study, and you will be able to answer the questions on this case study, and these are the research papers, right, which you can refer and that will help you, and this is the book that will multicultural teams creating and sustaining an environment for learning from perspective diversity and maximize the team effectiveness is there, and therefore we will be understanding that is how to design the team for the effective performance. These are the references which we can refer for the further readings also. Thank you.